Hi, this is Lorenzo Valoria with GamesRadar.com, and I'm here with...
Gordon Van Dyke, Senior Producer for War of the Roses.
All right, can you give us a rundown of the game and what we got here for the demo today?
Absolutely. Right now, I'm going to show you the profile editor. And a profile editor for War of the Roses gives you the ability, once you've unlocked it, to customize. You're going to allow you to customize some profiles and actually kind of make one that fits what you've found that you like the best, and also unlock more weapons that take a lot more skill to use, so you can start learning those and practicing with those as you've progressed through the game. Kind of almost in a sense like it was back then. I mean, we try to do things that would reflect the time period back then, and it took a lot of experience, a lot of time before the guys were progressing to the more advanced weapons. So there's a nice little kind of like thing that just, coincidental to a degree. So right now we have the footman, we have the militia, we have crossbowmen. These are ones that we put through and put together just for this event. As for an example, when you pick a footman, you're going to be able to select everything from this type of shield, the helmet, the armor, the perks, and perks are going to give you different things. A mount is when you unlock the ability to have a horse, and it also depends on what you've equipped yourself with. So not everybody can just jump on a horse. You have to specifically pick that style of a profile to get set up like that. As a quick example of main weapons, so we have a lot of different styles: crossbows, bows, lances, and now lances obviously is when you're on a horse, spears, and a lot of different styles of weapons. You can even select nothing and just go in with a hand weapon, but with a sidearm and a shield. But because when you do a main weapon and it's two-handed, then you lose the ability to have a shield. So since he's that guy, we won't mess with that, and we'll do sidearms. So then we also have different types of sidearms, and you always want to make sure that sidearm is a complement to whatever your main weapon is. So if I had picked a poleaxe, for example, that's on a long pole and it has a very small blade. So that gives you a low margin of error when you're striking at your opponent. So precision is very, very important in that case. So if I would pick the sword, and I would pick like the Castilian sword. So then I have a weapon that has a longer edge, and it's easier to strike with. So if I'm in a situation where my polearm, which is a long-reaching weapon, and I'm up close to people, I'm going to switch to this weapon, or I'm going to switch to my dagger, which is going to give me an advantage in that situation, because accuracy and hit detection was very critical to us when we were making this game. And one thing we noticed that a lot of these types of games don't do is they're very inaccurate, and it's very common in a lot of games. Hit detection is a very complex and a very costly thing when you make a game. So we sacrificed other things like decapitation and severed limbs and other fun stuff for this. And I think that this really pays off because it's about gameplay. So then you'll be able to, when you select a sword, you can select your fighting style. We'll just go with the common one. It's just the Mario, as you could say, of the fighting styles. The other one's Luigi, maybe the other one's Wario, right? But I like to use Mario. Everybody understands Mario. And you'll be able to pick different types of steel, and these will all benefit you in some way with health of your weapon, because all the weapons are breakable. And then protection armor, and then damage absorption. So Toledo Steel is a really nice one. That's a high unlock. And then you have the different edge grinds, different type of pummels, and that'll give you a better system as well. It's all very minor benefits, but ones that are just enough to where every soldier probably is very unique. You probably hardly ever run across somebody that's exactly the same once you start getting into players that are using the customization system. There's just so many little nuanced things to do. It kind of really adds a level also of excitement and asymmetry to our combat experience without pushing it out of the boundaries of being fair and balanced. Then you'll be able to do armors and helmets and stuff. And a really fun thing, I'll show you guys one helmet really quick. You'll be able to pick different helmets. So we're going to do the Soleil, and the Soleil had different options back then. So some guys had it without a visor, and it just depended on how much money they had to buy. Most soldiers back then had to buy their own equipment. It's not like now in the Army, it just supplies you with everything. So standard visor, and then you can change what type of coif you want. So we're going to do the arming cap. And you can even attach plumes and sexify up your helmet and make you much more flamboyant, which they did a lot back then. It was a sign of wealth. If you could waste money on some feathers for your helmet, you must have a lot of money. And you'll also be able to paint it. Now, painting was a functional necessity back then, so they painted it typically to avoid it getting rust, and it also served as an identification purpose. So it was easy to identify who, if that person was you're fighting was a friend or foe. It wasn't like now where you have more military style. It's similar to the military, but it was back then a lot of guys were brother versus brother sometimes, or cousin versus uncle, or in those scenarios. So they looked kind of similar, right? Because they're related. So they needed some way to really identify them each other from each other. So we have rusted and worn, standard steel, and we're gonna have other ones as well. This is just the beginning of what we want to put into this game. So when we do the red of fortitude, you can actually see there's quite a big difference in the look. So it's really fun. And when we have a lot of these options, then a lot of players look very, very different on the battlefield, and you'll start identifying other players by how they design and set up themselves. We also have coat of arms, which you see right here, which people will be able to identify. So I'm not going to take up too much time, and I'm going to go out of this because I know you guys probably only have so much time.
Yeah, let's get to stabbing here.
Okay, really quick, coat of arms system. So you'll also be able to change that. So I'll just do really, really quick and show the different options. And
a radish, that's that's a dreadful one.
And you'll also be able to, for your great helms, put on different types of crests. So, we'll jump into multiplayer. This is a Steam game, so we're using Steam's back-end system, and so when you get this game, no matter how you get it, you'll set it up in Steam and launch it through there.
Cool. All right, so
the typical map loading screen that you see in most multiplayer games. Nothing too specifically special. So you start off on this podium, and then you're going to pick which of your profiles you want to use. So as you can see, here's the one that we just recently created. And then you can also edit your profiles before you jump into a match. Then you select your team, Lancaster or York. So we'll go with the Lancasters, and we'll go with our guy that we made really quick. So really cool thing, we also have squads. So you can join in a squad to help you stay with the team. And your squad leaders have officer perks that can also benefit your team. So staying in a squad together is also very, very, very beneficial in our game. So right now I'm in ghost mode. That gives me a chance to spawn in at my base. And if there's people spawn camping, you have a chance to position yourself. But if you can spawn on your squad leader, but if you spawn on your squad leader, you don't go into ghost mode. You jump straight in. To avoid anybody taking advantage of the ghost mode, and it's like ghost appearing behind somebody and stabbing them in the back. So we have a really cool thing. Going back to the level of hit detection that we have, when somebody strikes me, if they hit the chain mail, or the mail actually is how they identified it back then, that will give you a different type of damage when a different weapons hit you. So each weapon, if it's a thrusting weapon versus a bladed weapon versus a bludgeoning weapon, it's all going to be different. So we also have cloth. So I have cloth, and those are weaker areas. And when you attack somebody and hit them, we show you how much damage you did, and then we'll identify to you what you actually damaged as well. So then you'll know, okay, I hit cloth, or I hit their metal, or I hit their helmet. So you have feedback on what happened with your strike, because it can be very chaotic, and the action can be pretty crazy. So, Now I'm in fighting, so I want to put my visor on. Now a visor, and I got killed by a horse. So a visor is not just a visual add-on. It's also something that is going to give. There's also a functional reason for it. So what this does is now it protects my face, and now with that, if somebody hits me in the face with their sword or stuff, then they won't get a one-hit kill. If you hit somebody in the head with a sword, you get the one-hit kill or an arrow. But now my face is protected. So it helps me, in the situations, but then there has to be a give and take. There has to be a compromise for why you're getting that extra protection, and that compromise is that you lose visibility. And so we put this vignette to kind of simulate that. And to give an example of why we went into third person, the reason we picked third person was to give people a simulation of peripheral vision. You can't do that in first person, no matter how hard you try. Otherwise, you just get a warped look of the scenery. So that's why we did that. But when I die again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to select an archer, and I want to show you really quick how we try to handle those situations. So we want players to be able to. So now as you see, you can execute someone, or you can just finish him off by pressing down. Now he actually yielded. So when you get in a knockdown position, you can either heal, wait to be revived, or you can yield and lose a point for your team. So I'll probably die here. So if you saw the colors, the blue means I hit his plate metal. So I did some damage, but not enough to kill him. Oh, and I killed him.
Can you talk a little bit about the striking system and the blocking system and how you could attack from different angles? And that kind of?
Yeah. So what we've done, I'll select the archer, and I'm going to show you that really quick. So here we have the archer. Now, as you can see, I can spawn on my squad leader. So now I've spawned in right away, right into the action. So I'm going to switch to my my shield and my sword. So now what we did with our combat system is some games have been using it like Mountain Blade, where you click on your left mouse button and then you use your mouse to kind of swing your blade. When we took it a different step, we kind of took the same premise. And so what we did is, like, when I click on my left mouse button and I go to the left, I start my swing to left, but then now I have control of which direction I'm looking. So now you can actually aim your attack. And if you go back, then you do the thrust. Or if I go forward, then I'll do my overhead swing. And right, of course, I'll swing from the right. And those also have benefits as well, because if you swing, as you can see, if you swing from the right, you'll hit the wall and it'll stop your hit. So if you have other people around you, that can also stop you as well. So you want to go into a thrust. Now, it takes more accuracy to get that hit, but it also avoids you from getting collision from other objects or other players around you.
All right, so we're about out of time. Is there anything else that you would like to mention about the game before we get going?
Sure. One thing, just the ending, it's coming out in September 2012, and we have a beta that's going to be starting the second week of August. And if you guys pay attention to Games Radar, they're going to have a chance for you to get into the beta and get guaranteed access.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for your time. And for more information on War of the Roses, check out gamesradar.com.